The debate over the domestication of dogs is still in full swing after 15,000 plus years of living together. Some believe our early ancestors sought out the wolf pups, while others believe that the wolves came to us. No matter how it happened, there is one thing that researchers everywhere are agreeing upon. Dogs and wolves evolved together. More specifically, our DNAs adapted to our changing diets at oddly similar times. We learned in history that since the beginning, our early ancestors were nomads. Then, approximately 10,000 BC, agriculture was discovered. The spark of this new discovery led to the growth of permanent settlements and a spike in population, an occurrence many recognize as the Neolithic Revolution. How exactly the wolves came into the picture is still unknown, but their reliance upon humans for food was evident. In 2013, researchers at Uppsala University conducted a study on the DNA of dogs and wolves, searching for a connection to help explain domestication. What they found was that dogs evolved around 5000 BC to carry 4 to 30 copies of the AMY2B gene, while wolves only had 2. This proved that the domesticated dogs evolved to digest the starchy foods that came about with the Neolithic Revolution. A group of researchers from France, Sweden, and Romania discovered domesticated dogs developed an ability to digest starch around the same time that humans did. Let's see how this research plays out. So why did you guys conduct this experiment?
We already know modern dogs exhibit higher amylase activity. AMY2B copy numbers in dogs have 4 to 34 copies, while 60% of the wolves bearing only 2 copies. So we want to know how far back in the AMY2 expansion happened.
How did you conduct your survey?
We selected 13 dogs, manibus, and wolves from different sites in Eurasia dated back from 5,000 to 7,000 years ago. Then we extracted DNA from these samples and displayed PCR experiment to amplify and quantify genes.
What were the results of your experiment?
Well, the first thing we found was that the AMY2B gene expansion took place during the 7th millennium in Romania and the 5th millennium in France, when late transition to farming took place. The second thing we found was that it was found during the early farming era in Eurasia that dogs carried about 2 copies of the AMY2B gene. And the last thing we found was that in humans, the pattern of variation in copy numbers of the human amylase gene, or AMY2B, is consistent with a history of diet-related selection pressures. Higher AMY2B gene copy numbers and protein levels likely improved the digestion of starchy diets, so dogs also underwent this change. The AMY2B is a gene that helps with the beginning of the digestion process to break down starch and glycogen in the small intestine. As farming and agriculture developed by growing more crops, dogs began to eat more grains. In this study, it was found that wolves and dingoes have about 2 copies. The Siberian Husky, which is a more domesticated breed during the hunter-gatherer period, had about 3 copies. Gene dosage is the number of copies of a particular gene present in the genome. Gene dosage is known to be related to the amount of gene product the cell is able to express. Domestic dogs today have a high number of copies of the AMY2B gene. Wolves do not. There is an average 7 times more copies of the gene in modern-day dogs when compared to wolves and dingoes. And that is because modern-day dogs have a higher expression of higher pancreatus AMY2B gene expression, as well as higher serum amylase activity. Some modern-day breeds have a different number of copies. The Poodle breed has about 9.4 copies. The German Shepherd breed has about 15.71 copies, and the English Springer Spaniel has about 17.28 copies. In theory, because of the increase of more starches in their diets, created the increase of more copies of the AMY2B gene, and the more they'll be able to digest more starches and grains. So the AMY2B gene, there's enzymes that are secreted from the pancreas into the duodenum, and that is how they digest starches and grains. And in today's modern dog, the AMY2B gene is on the 6th chromosome, and they have about 4 to 34 copies. But in the modern day wolf, is also on the AMY2B gene is on the 6th chromosome, and they have about 2 copies. Today, the AMY2B gene is why dogs can digest starches and grains.
When you walk into today's pet stores, it can often be overwhelming trying to decide what kind of food you should get for your dog. There are many different varieties and choices based off a dog's exact needs depending on the size of animal, breed of dog, allergies, and type of dog food such as dry, wet, and moist. It is also important to take into account the energy your dog spends each day, such as working dogs versus your average companion animal. Many people believe that dogs' diet should be based off their ancestors' wolves. You can see this in a lot of the propaganda. However, it all comes down to the basic nutritional needs of dogs, such as amino acids from proteins, fatty acids, carbohydrates, and vitamins and minerals each dog needs to survive. Due to the belief that dogs' diet should be based off wolves, many people believe that dogs should not have grain in their diets. This has led to a big push in the new trend, grain-free dog food, although it is important to note that dogs are not genetically identical to wolves. Through recent studies, it was found that over time, dogs have been domesticated to live with humans. They have developed the gene AMY2B. With this gene, dogs are better able to digest starches, a type of carbohydrate. This being said, grain in dog food is not bad for dogs, and grains are often a great source of carbohydrates.